Two main markets for wheat would be feed wheat or flour wheat.
So you go back to the grocery store and buy your own wheat back?
Yep. For a premium, believe you me.
That's right. Sell it for 10 cents and go buy it back for $1.
Yep.
Neil from Essex here, out today in beautiful central Pennsylvania. We're up in some rolling hills on the north side of Harrisburg, out taking off some wheat today. We're out with Ryan. Ryan, what's your farm name?
Our farm name is Burkholder Family Farms.
And what are we out doing today?
We are out cutting winter wheat.
Okay. So Ryan and I are going to spend some time in this New Holland CR combine today. He's going to tell us a little bit about how this machine works, talk a little bit about agriculture while we're out. Come along with us here today. Should be a good time.
Essex, a helping hand with your land.
Tell me a little bit about where we're at.
3/4 hour northwest of Harrisburg, Perry County.
Yeah.
Guys, you're coming up 322 above Harrisburg. You start getting into a lot more of the mountains, and
So
it changes quite a bit.
When you're farming up here, are you more or less following the mountain range up and down through here? Or
Pretty much, yeah. The farming is happening in the valleys in between the mountains and ridges. This particular valley right here, you can see our mountains aren't real big here.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much just the majority of the farming happens.
So as far as getting a combine around, do you like try to jump over to another valley at all, or do you pretty much? Okay.
Yeah. It's not uncommon at all to go
Find a place you can drive up and over and.
Right. Well, oftentimes with our winding roads around here, we've got decent roads that travel across.
Okay.
It's not too bad.
So this is wheat, obviously.
Yep.
I assume what winter wheat would have been planted.
Yeah, it would have been planted. Last fall was planted a little later than normal because it was too wet, but it would have been planted like late October.
So the thing that always impresses me about a machine like a combine is that you're driving a mini factory around.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? Yep. So as you're driving here as the operator, obviously we're watching it cut, we're watching the reels pull it back in. What else are you paying attention to when you're driving?
So yeah, I mean, some of the main things, obviously the controls here, my loss monitors, I keep a pretty close eye on those. Yield and moisture is also displayed here, so I'm usually keeping a pretty close eye on those. And right now we're combining some down wheat, which was just pretty much weather related. There's a lot of that this year. And that's basically, I'm just having to adjust the head to get, make sure we pick up those spots that are down.
So wind blows that over basically.
Yeah, and lodging we call it. Yeah.
Okay, and then over the course of time, it more or less flattens itself out against the ground.
Yeah, you get heavy rains and stuff, and it'll flatten it out. All right, I'm ready. You get heavy rains, especially you think of like a heavy downpour and a thunderstorm where you get an inch in a pretty short amount of time, an inch of rain. That'll flatten it pretty good.
So that's still a viable crop?
It is, yeah. Yep.
So for the most part then, I mean, you look at that header and the header is what, 3 inches off the ground?
Yeah.
More or less? So when you say you're adjusting it, are you inching it closer?
Yeah, so right now it's running on automatic. It's on automatic float. And then whenever I come to an area where there's wheat that's down, I'll just inch it a little closer to the ground to pick that stuff up.
And then so the machine's cutting, you're paying attention to the height, watching the moisture to make sure we're not too wet. That's pulled back up into the machine, and then what does the machine ultimately do with the wheat?
So yeah, it's being put in the bin. You can see through the window there right behind us.
Yep.
Basically it's got, with this being a New Holland, it has twin rotors that thrush the grain out, and then it drops it down onto the cleaning shoe, and the cleaning fan blows the chaff and everything out of it. And the sieves settle out all the other debris.
So the straw ends up going out the back.
Yeah, yep.
Grain stays in the tank.
Yep.
And now beside us here is your follow tractor that we're unloading.
Yeah, that's right, yep.
Now I noticed, so he doesn't go back to the farm then. So he's unloading into smaller grain bins?
Yeah, he'll unload into, right now we're custom cutting. So he's unloading into the farmers' gravity wagons. Oftentimes when we're cutting our own, we'll just unload into our trucks, and then the trucks take it back to the bin.
So this would be your tractor and large bin, and then you're unloading into the farmer's bin.
Yep.
But do you have to pay much attention to him?
He's pretty good. As long as the operator's good, I don't have to pay too much attention.
Okay. So he'll cheat himself front and back.
Yeah,
then in order to...
he's pretty good at positioning himself where he needs to be. Whenever you get somebody new in there that doesn't quite know what they're doing, it's a little different. Then I do have to pay a good bit of attention.
This is at the end of the process. The straw now needs to be
Right.
baled up before it gets rained on, ideally.
Yep, exactly. And there's always usually for us after wheat, if we decide to take the straw, we need to get the straw off the field, and then we plant double crop beans right away. Mm-hmm. And this late in the year, it's kind of a mad rush to get the beans planted as soon as possible. It's about every day you're losing. You can figure half a bushel to a bushel of yield when you're this late in the season.
Right. And you say you're late for what reason? So wheat got in late?
Well,
is that the whole thing that pushed you back?
For our geography, it's just, wheat did get in late, but for our geography here, it's always pushing the envelope a little bit to get double cropped beans after wheat. Because you soon start running out of growing degrees.
So we were talking about the Raven auto steer stuff on the tractor.
Yeah.
And a little bit about what the monitor does for you over here. Like, I think the average person has no idea the technology that's in a machine like this. You're steering right now.
I am, yeah. Mainly because it does have auto steer, but we just have the free WA subscription.
Okay.
And on our side hills and stuff, it tends to be a little bit to be desired, just not quite accurate enough all the time.
It's also an oddly shaped field.
Right, yeah. We have a lot of smaller cut up fields where when I'm running combine, I almost prefer in a lot of those smaller fields just to run it.
Yeah.
Instead of setting up an auto steer line and all that.
Yeah, until you get on your line, you're nearly at the end.
Right.
And ready to turn.
Right. Yield mapping, moisture mapping, all that type of thing.
And so you're doing yield mapping, so the machine knows basically what it's pulling up out of the field.
Yeah.
You know the moisture where it's coming up out of the field. What do you do anything with that information then?
Yeah, we do. We actually, whenever we're doing custom work, we'll either give a print or digital copy to the customer.
Okay.
And then they can do with it what they want. For our own stuff, we use it for prescription seeding.
Okay.
So we'll build prescription maps somewhat based off of soil type and off of our yield history off the combine.
So prescription seeding then will tell you to what? Put down more or less seed in a given area?
Yeah, and that generally we'll just use that for corn.
Okay.
But yeah, that'll tell us in a better, more productive area of the field we can bump up the population to help maximize our potential there, and then also in the poorer spots with poorer soils, we'll back off the population a little bit because the potential is not there, so we'll save as much seed as we can.
So that's a seed is bonkers expensive.
Yeah.
So that's a calculation of what? It's not worth investing the seed into poor soil, so we're not going to put it down.
Right. Oftentimes you'll end up running about the same overall average population in a field, but you're just taking basically some of those seeds that would have went on the higher hillsides and stuff and putting it down in the better areas where it's going to give you a better return versus on the poorer spots in the fields.
So how long have you been running a machine like this for?
Started when I was 15.
Okay.
So I guess almost 15 years now.
So family farm for you guys?
Yeah. Yep. I got out of school, and the first fall that I was out of school, I ran combine quite a bit, and haven't stopped since.
How have you seen the machinery change then over the years? Is this easier, harder?
Yeah.
How is that different than?
Quite a bit easier, I would say. Although I mean, we started with the CR940.
Okay.
Or I should say, I started with the CR940. Before that would have been a New Holland TR88. So comparing the TR88 to this is like night and day. Capacity, these are definitely quite a bit easier to set. Obviously, there's a lot more settings that you can change from in the cab here. And then just the technology and everything like that that's in them too is
Easier to run, essentially.
yeah, easier to run. Yep.
So that's what allowing you to pay more attention to what the machine's doing, or take cell phone calls.
Right. Yep. Yep. That is true. We're also able to get way more done in a day than what we would have been able to
Yeah.
back then. Yeah, so actually quite a bit of the work this combine does is custom work. A little over half of our harvesting is custom harvesting.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely got to keep it busy, right?
Yeah, that's right. They're not cheap.
So, right. How many days out of the year would you end up running it then?
I usually figure probably 3 to 4 months at the most.
Okay.
Something like that. Now it wouldn't be 4 months, solid.
Right.
There's always rain days and stuff in there, but
Yeah, it takes you 3 to 4 months to get the work done, and then
yeah.
sits and waits the rest of the year.
Right.
What does it take? So when you go from wheat like this over to corn,
Yeah.
what kind of change out are you doing to make that happen?
If we're going like from wheat to corn or beans, we swap out the small grain concaves to the round bar style concaves. And then a few other adjustments, putting the DFR speed on low instead of high. A few other minor tweaks. Other than that, basically it's telling the actual computer that we're combining corn or beans instead of wheat, and that it's making a lot of those changes for us. Sieve and rotor settings, fan settings, all that.
So that is what, a day's changeover, more or less? Or more than that?
If we were to change it from wheat to go to corn, probably 3 hours at the most.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, I mean, it could be done in probably an hour, hour and a half with 2 people. We'll go from corn and beans pretty often in the fall. We'll switch back and forth pretty often.
Okay.
But that's a matter of probably 10 minutes at the most. Looks like I may have a belt plugged up there. Had this issue a little bit before. Reverser here a little bit. Had to do this one other time. Every once in a while it wants to bunch up under there. I'm not completely sure what causes it, but
Props to you. You caught it while I was sitting here distracting you.
yeah. No, I'm not sure why it does that. Just on occasion.
So we're driving around in a air-conditioned cab. I sat in your seat a little bit there, and the air ride self-adjusted to my weight.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
a pretty sweet deal.
Yep, it will do that. It is a heated and cooled seat as well.
Heated and cooled seat.
Yeah.
There's no refrigerator in here. Hidden
There's
somewhere.
not, no.
That's probably an optional extra.
Yeah, actually, I think this cubby back here is like supposed to be.
Keep your lunch cool.
Yeah, yep.
On your stick there's all kinds of impressive looking controls, but you're really using what there? The spout swing out?
Yeah, pretty much the header control button right here.
So that brings your header up and down and does your left right tilt.
Yeah, tilt. Which for the most part it's doing most of that automatically, but and then auger in and out and unload off and on.
Okay.
So occasionally when I'm cutting beans I'll adjust the reel a good bit, but with wheat like this I don't often have to adjust it too much.
So it's the speed of the reel.
Yeah, yep. Well, speed
Or
and
the
also
height.
up down, yeah. Up, down, and in and out.
And for beans, you're moving that to get it to pull the crop up on, where
Yeah.
long-stemmed wheat like this is going to kind of
Right,
fall right on itself.
Generally can feed in a lot easier. And beans, you often have a good bit more variability in height. And you want to be careful to not have the reel down too far, because it'll thresh out the pods.
And other than that, most of your other controls over there are what? Start the machine up.
Yeah, header clutch, thresher clutch, and then throttle is right here, bin extensions, and then pretty much all of these toggles here are your combine controls, like your fan speed, sieve position, all that kind of stuff.
So if you had to put somebody in here and tell them to go run this thing, how long would it take you to get them up to speed?
I'm not sure. As far as just operating it, probably not too awfully long. Setting up different things like that can be a little more complicated, and then there's always situations that you'll run into.
So the knowledge is really in the experience of how to...
Yeah. Teaching someone how to run it isn't, it's not that difficult to run. It's all the other things that you'll run into and
the other stuff that you're watching for.
Yep. Just like the header plugging up there a little bit ago. You'll run into that kind of stuff all the time. One upgrade that this combine has over our other one is it's got the hydraulically controlled bin extensions, which is not something that you think is a big deal. I mean, it really isn't a big deal, but it's super convenient when you're in a lot of small fields and moving on the road a good bit. With the push of a button, you have your extensions folded up versus having to climb up there and fold them up every time.
Because you're going in and out of small fields all the time.
Yep.
And the concern for that is we're driving up and down the road, you've got wires to worry about.
Exactly.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right,
If we're pretty much, it's a rule of thumb, if we're going on the road, the extensions are going to get folded up. You never know when you come across a wire that you weren't expecting or whatever. And
that's a bad day.
Yeah.
Does driving on the road faze you?
Not too bad. No, I don't enjoy going on 4-lane. Other than that, on these roads, I'm very used to it. It's not too bad. The guardrails are also closer than you think.
That's right.
Because I tend to use up as much of the shoulder as I can, but then whenever you get to a guardrail like this, I can run my tires about on the white line. But that's about all the further I can go.
And that's purely your sense of where the machine's at.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I mean, the mirror over there helps a little bit.
Yeah. Well, there's a narrow bridge not too far from here that has guardrails on each side. It's about 15 feet, and the combine's 14 and a half. It may be a touch over 15 feet, but it's very tight. The way I go across it is it's got steel beams and it's a metal grate bridge. So I can see the steel beams underneath, the I-beams. I just line up the middle of my feeder house right in between those two beams and just go.
No spotter?
No, just go.
Just go. I guess cars are pretty respectful out here.
Yeah, for the most part. I would say a good 3/4 of them are, and then you get those few here and there.
Always the idiot that tries to pass you in a blind corner.
Yeah, those few that just obviously do not have a clue. The biggest problem is that I run into again and again, whether it's combine's not so bad because it's pretty large and people hesitate quite a bit to pass it.
Yeah.
But you get, tractors pulling stuff and whatever that aren't quite as wide. The biggest thing is people passing you when you're about ready to make a left-hand turn. Again and again and again it happens. The best thing I've found to do, because people, even if you do have turn signals, your 4-ways are on.
Right.
And they don't notice
They're
that
not
your
paying
turn
attention
signal's on.
to the blink.
Yeah, they don't see that. The best thing to do is just start easing over a little while before you're going to make your left-hand turn. Just hog up the whole road and make your left-hand turn, then let them go.
So moisture-wise, when you're up against the tree line like this, do you worry about that at all?
Yeah. Usually your moisture is going to be higher against the tree line.
And moisture is something for people that aren't used to hearing this all the time.
Yeah.
When you go to the grain bin here, you need to deliver at a certain moisture level, correct?
Yeah, pretty much whenever we go to the mill, where this is going to be delivered finally to be made into flour, it's got to be 13.5% moisture. But the main reason for that is it will not keep very well long term if it's too much above that. And that's just the trade decided moisture.
So this is headed for flour then, that's cool.
Yeah, yep.
Is that a local mill that it goes to?
Camp Hill.
Huh.
Yeah, the two main markets for wheat would be feed wheat or flour wheat. And if you put fungicide on, do the things you need to do to keep the wheat healthy, generally it's acceptable for flour wheat.
So you go back to the grocery store and buy your own wheat back.
Yep. For a premium, believe you me.
That's right. Sell it for 10 cents and go buy it back for $1.
Yep. Yeah, so the other concern about moisture too is if you are storing it in your own bins and say it's above 15%, you're going to want to get it dried down within a reasonable timeline, you know, within about a month or so. The more moisture you have in there, the more likelihood you can get mold. Generally, it seems like insects are more prone to get into it when it's higher moisture too.
It's funny, look at the mechanics of this, how the head can flex.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you look down there and you see the cutter bar going up and down, it's funny to think how they engineer something made out of steel.
Yeah.
That is made to bend.
Yep.
Shake your hand.
Sure.
Pleasure being out here with you today.
Thanks for coming out.
It is awesome to be able to get out and feature people like yourself. Try to bring a little bit more awareness to what agriculture is.
Sure.
You're an impressive individual to be able to be out here managing a farm, an expensive piece of equipment, marketing your product, getting it done. It is cool to be out and be in this business with great people who just do cool stuff. So thank you. Appreciate your business.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. If you are shopping for a piece of equipment and we at Messick's can help, available for any parts and service needs that you've got. I don't drive this stuff, so if you've got wheat that needs to be combined, Ryan's information will be over down here in the video description. Give this guy a call. He's gonna be able to help you out a lot better than I can. You've got farming that needs to be done. So you can give us a call, available at 800-222-3373 or online at messicks.com.